Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacqueline. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacqueline at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, and our show today is Talking Heads. Talking Heads is a platform where experts from around the world come and share their knowledge, their experience, and their expertise in their own 30-minute show. Joining us today is Al Cini. His programs have been getting a lot of buzz from people. People are getting really great content and information that they're able to implement right away. Al is a co-host. He's a talking head expert, obviously. He's an elevated listener. He's on our Talking Heads panel. He is a television host on RVN Television, and he also is a business owner and entrepreneur. Let's welcome him to the show, Mr. Al Cini.
Well, thank you for having me once again, Dr. Jacqueline. I guess it's very gratifying that people haven't kicked me off the air yet. I suppose it certainly is. I have to tell you, I was very reluctant, as you know, to accept the honor of a talking head. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I mean, that's just sort of not me, and it just feels too braggy to me sometimes. But there are people out there that have content, that have ideas, that have thoughts that could be valuable to other people, and it's a terrifically easy, very friendly platform for sharing those thoughts with other people. And you know, it shouldn't have taken me this long. And I'm glad I'm finally doing it.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And also, Al, you know that you said in the beginning, what am I going to talk about for 30 minutes? And you have no problem filling up the 30 minutes.
And today, maybe will be no exception. We'll hang around just in case we run short, but I think we got 30 minutes teed up.
All right, fantastic. I'm going to go backstage, and then I'll join you afterwards for a chat.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate it. Welcome back, everybody. You know, this is the fifth in a series of 6 talking heads on brand and culture alignment. And it is such a pleasure and honor to be here talking with all of you about some of these ideas that really have to do with creating a system in the context of any particular group or team or family. A context around what does it mean to become the best version of ourselves? Because we're always talking about how we want to help other people become better versions of themselves, or we want to become better versions of ourselves. I think we're always thinking along those lines, but usually we think I think the misconception people have is that there's only one for any given person, that for everybody there is one better version of themselves. What we've learned in our experience is that there are a multitude of better versions of you. And that better version of you has to be tuned for the specific environment in which you're operating. So if you're a professional financial analyst during the day and you're working directly with clients, there is a better version of you doing that, filling that role. At the end of the day, you go home and you're a wife or a husband or a father or a mother, and there's a better version of you to be the best you can be at that role. If you coach Little League or soccer or whatever, I mean, for every different hat you put on, there is a better version of yourself that should be loaded in with that hat that makes you the best version of yourself, not just in general, but the best version of you at that particular moment. Now, we use a word called alignment a lot. And in fact, I think many of us hear that word alignment a lot. It's a pretty familiar word. And it's a little difficult to define, but it's maybe a little bit like pornography. I'm not exactly sure what alignment is, but I'll know it when I see it. If you've ever shopped at a supermarket where one of the wheels of your cart was out of alignment, then you know what misalignment is. Misalignment is a situation in which things just can't work well together because one or two of them are not in alignment with the other 3 or 4. So misalignment, that idea that the energy isn't being applied in a kind of an organized way, and that the energy is actually being scattered, it means that you reduce your effectiveness and you don't get the kinds of results you can get if, in fact, you followed Rudyard Kipling's advice. I didn't think I'd ever have the opportunity to mention Rudyard Kipling, and that's something else I need to thank Dr. Jacqueline for. In the Jungle Book, there is a pretty well-known poem, and this quote is really from that poem, that talks about the strength of the pack being the wolf, the individual wolf, and the strength of the wolf being the strength of the pack of which they're a member. And we're really talking about, when we talk about best version of ourselves, we're talking about that best version of ourselves as part of something larger than us, whatever that might be. So, and when we're all together and when we're all united and we're all aligned with each other, the strength of the community that we build and that results from that is greater than the strength of any of us individually. And yet, if it weren't for our individual strengths within that pack, the pack couldn't survive. So a little nod to Rudyard Kipling, and in a little bit we'll do what we promised, which is to beat up Abe Maslow a little bit. But I want to talk about alignment as what we do with the Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit, because I mentioned in our earlier 4 episodes the process we use to identify the role target that represents the best version of self for any given team or group or company, for that matter. And I did also point out that when the people in that organization are aligned with the purpose of the organization, the person who invests in that alignment, the owner of the business, begins to realize a return on their investment in their people. And that manifests in a bunch of bottom line and top line ways that are all listed here. So if you're the owner of a business, what's in it for me? What is in this for you is more money, more efficiency, better go-to-market strategies, more enthusiastic reception on the part of your prospects and clients, and greater client loyalty, a much better client experience. All of that is what's in it for you. But that isn't enough. Your people need to have something that's in it for them too. And in order for the people in a company to be comfortable with the work they do, they really need to have comfortable answers to 3 questions. Everybody in every organization needs to know that they're safe in that organization. They need to have a good, comfortable answer to the question, who am I? And by which I mean, am I somebody who's respected? Am I somebody who's valued? Am I somebody who is safe here in that I can do my work and even put myself into my work in a way that won't blow back on me later and that I won't be blamed for later? That who am I really speaks to the importance of feeling safe where you are. And another aspect of that is, who are you? I mean, if we're working together, I need to know that I can rely on you and depend on you. I need to know that you've got my back and you need to know that I have yours. And that's all mutual respect. And those 2 questions are critical. I need to have really good answers to those questions. The big question, though, is who are we? And I'm spending a lot of time these days talking to people who have different angles on answering the question, who are we? And that is, what is our purpose? Why are we here collectively? So I need to know that I'm safe here. I need to know that I can work with you. And I also need to know that collectively we are doing something meaningful and contributing in a way that changes something that matters. So, and you can Google this. You Google, and they'll give you their 5 precepts of a successful team. A successful team at Google offers psychological safety, sense of dependability, structure and clarity in the mission at work, meaning of work, and impact of work. Now, take a look at, if you just look at meaning of work and impact of work, that plus psychological safety, it's obvious that a big part of Google's success has been their ability to form teams around the purpose that needed to be accomplished, or the mission that needed to be accomplished, or the purpose that needed to be fulfilled. And that meaning of work, impact of work is clearly communicated to everybody on the team. That's the strength of the pack. And it brings out the best in each of the wolves in that pack. And the result of that is they get their projects done faster and they spend less money doing it. That's really critical. Now, that's what your people want. And if you really think about it, even if you're the business owner, that's also what you want. What you want are exactly what Google says you really, really want. Now, we have a way of measuring that. We have a number that we use that we talked about in earlier episodes, where we calculate this thing you can see in the upper right-hand corner of that screen, called the index of alignment. When it's in the yellow area, we can argue that maybe we're not all rowing in the same direction. We're not all on the same page with each other. And we're all, as a result of that, feeling disengaged in our work and feeling like our work doesn't matter. And we solve that problem by asking everybody in the organization to think about the entire organization as though we're a single person doing its best work on its best day. As people answer that question, they begin to become a pack. The pack forms around the answer of that question. We learn almost immediately that while we may think we're all rowing in the same direction, our hearts are actually beating at different frequencies and let's say in different colors. So that is the first step. The first step is for us to realize that we're really not all rowing in the same direction. And then the second step is to work with the leadership team to find out what direction is the correct direction for us all to work in. And to make that a clearly represented, brandished element, an aspect of the way we work that's made so clear to everybody that as a result of that, everybody's heart begins to beat in sync, operating it. We feel collectively what we know to be cognitively the work that needs to be done. And that makes it possible for all of us to work, not just to work together very effectively, but actually fall in love with our work again. So whether you're the owner of the company or the person who reports to, well, I shouldn't say that. Whether you answer the phones and mop the floors or own the company does not matter. You have a right to expect meaningful work, and you have a responsibility to fulfill that work in a meaningful way that speaks to your own heart and also is aligned with the hearts of the people that you work with. That is brand and culture alignment. In earlier episodes, we talked about the system we use to measure that and bring that out and make that clear to people. And we're all proud of that work, definitely. But where does the rubber meet the road in this? That's where we're going next. What we do with the Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit is to create a role model for any given group or team that is a combination of 4 behavioral patterns. The blue pattern, value is precision, brand, the culture is precision, brand is expert. The blue pattern is about people who measure twice and cut once. This is a quick review. The red pattern is about people who get to the point, boil arguments down to specific details. That's the resolve culture, and the brand expression for that is the driver. Innovation is about taking things in new directions, thinking outside the box. The brand expression for that culture is creator. And harmony is about following rules, following tradition. The rules were meant to be followed. And caretakers of the brand expression. Now, when you know the role model for your team, you have a North Star that you can follow that makes it possible for you to begin to adjust your behavior by borrowing aspects of that role model. And here's where we get to beat up Abe Maslow a little bit. In the late 40s and through the mid 50s, Abe Maslow was known for developing a pyramid of needs. And that pyramid of needs identifies important things that need to be available to somebody to be productive at the bottom of the pyramid. Physiological needs like air, water, food, and shelter. Things that I absolutely physically need and can't function without, they're at the bottom of the pyramid. The nice to haves that really make me a fulfilled human being, like self-actualization, they're at the top of the pyramid. The point of Abe's pyramid, and pretty much the point of Abe, is that it's hard to do anything on the optional top of the pyramid unless you've got some basis at the bottom of the pyramid to build on. Now, his point was that if you follow that pyramid from the bottom up, what you've got is a path to becoming self-actualized by taking care of business along the way. Now, the model is a wonderful, clear model, and we owe an awful lot to Abe, and we're really glad he did this. But he got a few things wrong. In fact, it's often the basis of criticism. And I'm going to introduce a different way of looking at this. If Abe, instead of looking at pyramids, if Abe had played Jenga, he might have understood a little better what it was he was actually trying to explain to people. Because what we find is that when people are actually putting into practice the principles of brand and culture alignment, meaning once I know who my role model is, now I want to try to behave like my role model in a way that makes me more effective as a member of my team. Well, what we found working with our partner, Lisa Manioki, and I think she's watching, she's developed a system called Presence Intelligence. And what I really like about Presence Intelligence is that it choreographs in 9 categories the contributions that people can make based on their interpretation of the role target for their team in order to become better members, better, stronger wolves in a stronger pack, in other words. And so let's talk about that. Again, remember, we're working with the questions, who are we, which is kind of a follow-on to the questions, who am I and who are you? All right, let's start with brand. There are three dimensions and three contributions in presence intelligence that correlate with the results we get when we analyze brand in the Brand and Cultural Alignment Toolkit. Brand are the things you see about somebody and the things that stick out or stand out, the obvious things. And there are three of them: appearance, speaking, and writing. Now, if my role target in my company is a blue role target, then my appearance really doesn't matter to me all that much. I mean, I obviously need to wear clothes, I need to dress, but generally, if you're working in a scientific or analytical role, and it really depends on what's going on that day at work. So this isn't a hard and fast rule. This is more of a guideline. People who work in labs generally wear lab coats because they're easy. You grab them, you put them on. Obviously, if things spill, they land on the lab coat instead of on your own clothing. But often people who work in laboratories are people who really don't care all that much about what they're wearing, and they don't judge each other on what they wear. So appearance is less important in the blue aspect of things. But in the red aspect of things, when your culture is resolved and the brand expression of that is driver, appearance all of a sudden becomes very important. If I'm going to maintain my commitment to resolve and brandish myself as a driver, I'm going to want to dress more formally. I'm going to want to wear clothing that might be a little bit upscale. Generally, I'll be more concerned about whether my shirt is starched and white and clean, or my suit, my outfit is carefully matched and maybe from an expensive designer label. So when your role target is red, appearance becomes very important. And this also affects your speaking and your writing. If you're working in a lab, your speaking is going to be more professorial and more educational. If you're working at Accenture, which is a red culture, then your speaking is going to be a little louder, more clear, shorter, and reduced to bullet points that include strong recommendations. You should, or this is something we strongly recommend. Then all your speaking and speech patterns change, and your writing changes. Now, let's keep going down the model a little bit, because I do want to make a point. I had a friend who used to work for a very well-known stock exchange. And after that ended, he went to work as an HR director, started to look for work for an HR director, but he kept all his old clothes. Now, HR is very much about harmony and caretaker. That's green in our model. And the people he was interviewing with to get this opportunity were people who were very much committed to harmony and caretaker. And that was pretty much the definition. That was the role target of their pack. Now, my friend would wear the clothing he used to wear in his red role as an executive at a stock exchange. And he would wear those on the interviews, cufflinks, formally dressed, expensive suits. And he interviewed often and called me now and then and said he was kind of frustrated because he felt like it wasn't landing anywhere, but he was plenty qualified for every one of the jobs he interviewed with. And then finally, somebody said to him, I think you're perfect for this job, but I want to talk to you about your suit. He said, well, what's wrong with my suit? And the person interviewing him said, nothing is wrong with your suit. It's perfect. But we don't dress like that around here. We're not a stock exchange. We're not Accenture. We wear suits, but they're not $8,000 suits. We don't have French cuffs. We don't wear cufflinks. So I think my point is, every one of these four brand and culture combinations comes with a set of expectations for how you speak, how you write, how you look. And you need to be mindful of all three of those, because that's the first level of presence that people encounter when they get to meet you. And an awful lot of opportunities can be denied you because you did not express in a way that vibrated sympathy. I'm trying to avoid saying fit in, because fitting in is not really the goal. If you can imagine that you as a person vibrated a certain frequency, the goal is to find a frequency for yourself that is a harmonic frequency, a sympathetic frequency relative to the frequency of the organization you're interviewing at, or that you're trying to convince or persuade. That's critical. So what we're really doing here is kind of like tuning forks. We're trying to find a frequency that works. And the best way to do that is to break the problem down into 9 categories. And we just talked about 3. But then there's culture. And we talked about brand because brand are the things that are obvious. It's what you see in somebody. Now we can talk a little bit about culture. Culture are the feelings that motivate those behaviors. Where does your appearance come from? What motivates you to dress that way or speak that way or write that way? Well, the way you interact with other people on your team and with others in general that you meet, the aspects of your character that matter to you and how you show those to people and represent those to people. And finally, the people you keep company with, the people you hang out with, the people you choose to be friendly with. These are all things that determine your frequency when it comes to coming up with a sympathetic frequency for the culture you're trying to match. So interactions, character, and people are cultural elements that you can manage. And finally, at the bottom of a Maslow's pyramid are three elements that you can manage that are important as well. Your career has to do with how well you do what you do. Do you really know your stuff? Where are you at your game? Are you at the top or in the middle? I mean, do you really have all the skills that you really need in order to be effective at a role you're trying to fill? Are you worried about money? And how are you with your health? These are basic fundamentals. Now, I save these for last because they aren't really directly related to brand or culture, but it's very hard to tune your brand and tune your culture if you're worried about where your next payment for your mortgage is coming from, or you're worried about a health condition you might be neglecting, or if you're seriously concerned that you're trying to do something you're just not equipped to do or don't have the skills to do. These are fundamentals that we would often put at the bottom of our pyramid, except here's the thing, and this is where Abe got it wrong. If you're an athlete, then health belongs at the bottom, because obviously if you're not healthy, you can't compete. That's clear. If, on the other hand, you're a research scientist, your health does not have to be tip-top shape. It could be higher up in the pyramid, less important, something that you don't have to urgently deal with. You can prioritize it intelligently with respect to the other 8 things that you can tune so that you get the things done that need to get done. And that is bespoke to you. That is not one size fits all. And I mentioned that if Abe had ever played Jenga, he would have understood this fundamentally. Think about it this way. You take these 9 factors, and these are really 9 contribution areas that you can work in order to become more effective at what you do and a better wolf in your pack. These 9 things that you can manage, they probably have a general relationship to each other where career, finances, and health might be more important and more urgent. So we put them at the bottom. And the higher up you go, the less urgent things are. They're not unimportant. Urgent and important are 2 different concepts. They're important, but they're less urgent. You may not need to worry about them as much. Here's the thing with Jenga. As you move to the bottom of this pile, and you get to prioritize where these things go, the more things you pull out at the bottom, the more likely the whole mess is to fall down on your head. Where you can neglect 2 things or even 3 things at the top, and maybe 2 things in the middle, you can never neglect any more than just 1 thing at the bottom of your pile, whatever that might be. So if you don't play this game right, and you don't pay attention to the things you need to pay attention to, and you pull too many of the important things out of the bottom, what you're going to get is a mess. You won't be tuned to anything, and you won't be capable or equal to any of the challenges that you face in the work you do. You will not be, within the context of the pack, you will not be a strong wolf. I guess there's kind of no other way to put that. And so you know, I want to, and for more information, by the way, you can go to a website. I mean, we're at getbcat.com, and certainly you're welcome to go there to learn more about the Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit. Presence Intelligence is literally presenceintelligence.com. Just go right to that website. You'll get all the information you need, including access to an inventory where you can take a self-assessment where you can actually assess yourself with respect to the 9 contribution areas we just covered. And I do want to make, again, not to repeat this point over and over again, what impressed me most about presence intelligence is that it finally puts very detailed points on the changes that we can make as individuals to become better members of the societies we serve. And I use plural for society because You're a citizen of the United States. You're a citizen of the family that you're a member of. You're a citizen of the company you work for. You're a citizen of the team in that company that you work for. Every one of those comes with a different set of expectations relative to health, career, finances, appearance. And knowing that you've shifted from one role to another means that you unload the expectations that you're not doing at the moment and you load the new ones in, and you get to lay all that out for yourself. And that is kind of the beauty of it. So for me anyway, alignment is about understanding the role target that represents the strength of the pack, the purpose of the pack, so clearly that every wolf in the pack knows what she or he needs to do in order to be the strongest wolf they can possibly be within that pack, serving the purpose of that pack. And that gets us to about 30 minutes. Doc, is that how'd I do?
You did great. I was typing up Lisa's information.
I know. I appreciate that, and you got it. And yet that's and this is a bridge we keep talking about. And Lisa and I have been actually kind of noodling this whole idea of where does BCAT and presence intelligence fit for 3 years. And it takes a while sometimes to understand somebody else's intellectual property. It does, because you're focused on the work that you're doing. But for me, anyway, presence intelligence represents that practical solution that is necessary, essential, in order to make it possible for people to actually act on what they learn from the Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit. And the Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit, in all humility, gives presence intelligence what it needs to create that context of when I talk about my appearance and my writing and my speaking. What is it about my appearance, my writing, and my speaking that's making a contribution to the frequency, the purpose of the organization that I'm a member of? I mean, this is, to me anyway, really critical. So where in some organizations using a lot of exclamation points and emojis are appropriate expressions, in other organizations, they're considered distracting or even counterproductive. And where an email might clearly say, I expect this by 5 o'clock Friday. And that might be a perfect, exact, specific way of saying that something needs to be done by Friday. In a green organization, that kind of a red communication can irritate people, demotivate people, leave people not willing. You're less likely to get it by Friday because you've made everybody feel like if they don't do it by Friday, you're going to punish them. So that situational awareness is what we're really trying to accomplish by combining BCAT with presence intelligence. And presence intelligence gives us the tactics that we need to deliver on the promise of our brand and culture.
And Lisa is definitely watching. She has this comment to say about you.
Would that be Al Can Talk?
Yeah, Al Can Talk, exactly. I want to say hello to Lisa and also Justin Rigliani, Annie Bush, Desiree Richardson, and Philip Sykes. Thanks so much for watching on the live, guys. We appreciate it.
Really, really appreciate you all coming by. Thank you.
As you were talking about the pyramid, I was reminded this morning, I got up and I really didn't feel well. I feel like I had food poisoning or something. And I thought, you don't have an option to be sick with your work. You have to show up, because if you don't show up, what's going to happen? So health is really important. And I think that we need to really consider in what the work is like. I liked how you said about a research scientist. If you're someone who can work from home, maybe your health, it doesn't have to be at the top. But for many people, your health is the number one priority.
So if you're a role target then, and we've talked about this, if you're a role target here for what you do with USA Global TV, which you're also your mom's daughter, you've got a family. I mean, you're a part of a whole bunch of organizations, societies, and each of them has a kind of a different, better version of Dr. Jacqueline that you move from one to the other of. I mean, there are a lot of commonalities because it's you in the middle of it all, but you make adjustments as you move from one thing to another thing. And you nailed it exactly correctly. If today is a day when you're going to be on the air, then you got to know what you're going to be wearing. I mean, appearance is critical for what you do. That is your brand. I mean, you always rock your outfit. I know that. I mean, today we did our 86th USA Global TV, the business talk show. 86 of them, and every one of them You have rocked you've actually amped me up. I can't show up in jeans. I mean, well, in fact, from the waist down, I can look like anything I want.
Exactly.
But from the waist up, I gotta keep up with you. So appearance is a very big part of that role model. Red, kind of formal. What we're talking about here are important things, and we want to address in a way that respects that, so that we communicate to you that we consider what we're saying is important. That's critical. Not so critical in other contexts. You change your clothes from one role to another in your life, and you're expected to do that. Health, and you mentioned health because it's interesting. Certainly, if you're a competitive athlete, obviously health is critical. You've got to maintain that at the highest level because you can't do what you do without that. A lot of people don't realize it, but if you feel bad doing what you do day in and day out, it shows. I mean, no matter how carefully coordinated your outfit is, if people know that your level of energy is down and you're not feeling well, I mean, you might even have to tell people on some of those days, I'm just not up to it, I apologize. But there's no faking that. That's something that on that day, health becomes further down in the Jenga pile. And one of the blocks you can't pull out and ignore. You've got to be there. You might be able to pull out career a little, maybe you can ease up on that, but health has got to be one of those. And that's why I loved it when we finally realized that it's really more about Jenga than about a pyramid. You get to say which layer is where in your own Jenga pile, and you get to play the game as you choose to play the game. And you don't have to get it exactly right, but you can't afford to neglect a lot of things at the bottom of the pile or the whole stack falls down.
Very true. What do you expect to happen as a result of challenging Maslow? And by the way, I want to say hello to Nancy Gregan. Thank you for watching. And also to Mike McFadden. What do you want to say to the people who are going to be like, what? Did he just challenge Maslow?
I just challenged. I didn't, first of all, Abe, the Maslow pyramid is so ubiquitous. I mean, it's pretty much everywhere and we see it everywhere. And it's been co-opted. The food groups that we eat are based on Maslow's pyramid. Bread's at the bottom and, caviar is at the top. Not even caviar actually isn't even allowed on the pyramid anymore. That's how things are these days. But that it's, and the problem with it, and this criticism is not just coming from me, but a lot of people say the problem is it's too static and it's too rigid. I mean, a human being is a dynamic system of a lot of interconnected parts. When you try to conform with just one thing and you try to get that to apply to every situation you find yourself in, you don't do any of your situations justice. So I'm not knocking Abe. I think Abe made a huge contribution. I have a lot of respect for the pyramid. And, and it's, as I said, everybody sees it all the time, but you really have to rethink it. You're moving, you're always in motion. Pyramids they've been there. They haven't moved in thousands of years. Human beings are not pyramids. So it should be obvious to anybody. It's just, it's a guideline. It's not a rule.
Good point. Good summary. Al, before we close out our show, I want to talk a little bit about the reunion show that's coming up that you are going to be with me for 6 hours live streaming on a Sunday. Look at this guy.
Health at the bottom. Health at the bottom. Better be healthy that day.
That's right. No crazy Saturday night. So here's the information. It's May the 1st. It's open to anyone and everyone, whether you've been a guest or not. If you have something to promote, like a business, service, product, event, book, music, film. What am I missing, Al?
Well, you've covered the bases. Business, entrepreneurial activities, not-for-profits. I mean, there are so many things. There are so many causes out there that need to be supported. And that what I really love about the way your brand has evolved over the last year in particular, Dr. Jacqueline, is that you've become very focused on making that dent in the universe everybody says they want to make and celebrating when you see that dent because somebody changed something. I love that about what you do. So whether it's a sporting event or a for-profit or a not-for-profit, you celebrate the dent makers, the people who leave dents in the world. And I think that's so valuable. And anybody who's even tried to leave a dent in the universe ought to tune in and watch. I think you can learn from each other.
Thank you, Al. I've shared this before, but I now have a stack of handkerchiefs. One I already used today because I'm crying a lot because I'm so moved by what people are sharing. And sometimes I just shake my head and I think, I can't believe that we have this platform where people come from all over the world, people we would never have had access to, sharing their stories and their journeys. And at the end of the week, I write down many of the things that I've learned after each show. And I just look and I go, wow, this is incredible.
And those emotions are genuine. I know that because I generally do the business show, and the business show has a particular vibe, and it generally doesn't approach. But I've been on other programs on the platform too, where we've heard some unbelievably moving personal stories from people who have they're the point of your book, Adversity to Awesome. They've overcome, dealt with incredible setbacks in their lives, overcome those setbacks, move forward in dramatic, very courageous ways, taken awful lemon type experiences and turn them into lemonade to help other people, to prevent them going through what they've been through. I just think USA Global TV has become a real force in its own right.
Well, thank you, Al. I want that to continue for everyone who is part of our family and for people who will be part of our family. So as you know, I spend a lot of time here behind this green screen. I'm thinking of getting a sun lamp installed, actually, so I can get that vitamin D that I
need. Vitamin D, that's it.
But one thing I'll share just quickly is some of the things that I've learned as a result of being on this platform. Red O'Loughlin, he's one of our team members, and you're going to be with him on the Talking Heads panel.
That's going to be fun. No way I can get an advanced copy of the topic. You're just going to throw the topic out.
I can't. 5 minutes before the show starts, so I'm going to give the topic. But Red is a longevity expert. He researches longevity. And one of the takeaways that I've learned from his Talking Head series was about intermittent fasting. And I've always said to myself, there's no way I'm doing any kind of fasting. As soon as my feet hit the floor, I'm eating a protein bar. I was eating the same protein bar for years. And I started looking at the package. I was like, what the heck? What? I don't know what any of these ingredients are. So I stopped eating it. I was eating granola bars. I stopped eating it. Now I do intermittent fasting every day during the week for at least 12 to 14 hours. And on the weekend, 14 to 16 hours. And that's because of what I learned here.
And how does it, what kind of a difference in your life has that made? I mean, do you really feel different as a result of?
I do feel different. First of all, my stomach is growling, right? And I still have to go work out. Yesterday, I ran outside for the first time in years. And it's almost like taking my mental strength and my physical strength to a new level. And I feel clearer and I feel like I'm more in control as opposed to food controlling me because I have to eat 3 meals a day or whatever it is. I don't do that anymore. So it's, we've got a comment. I don't know who it's from, but it's from our private Facebook group. Hats off to Dr. J. Maybe it's Lisa. Hats off to Dr. J. What you do takes a lot of work and commitment. The response of people itching to be heard speaks to the need for connection. Thanks for making those connections. You are certainly a dent maker. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet.
She's not kidding. She's serious.
I need this again.
She's right. Isn't that nice?
Really, it's very nice.
So we're ruining your makeup for your next show. Don't you have another show coming up? You're still in the air.
Yes, we've got 2 more Talking Heads. I get so involved. Yes, we're back to back today. So, Al, before we close out, I just want to play another clip because I'm so excited that you are joining me in this endeavor as well. I am very passionate about the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. I've been a patient since 1999. I lived in shame and fear of people finding out I had the dreaded bathroom disease. In 2018, I found the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. I started talking about it. I had people saying that I changed their life. One woman said that I gave her a reason to live. And so I raised as much money, usually 20 to 30,000 every year across the different events. I'm on the board, I'm the marketing chair. And we have this great event coming up, which is the Take Steps Walk. And what's so cool about it is it's at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, where the Philadelphia Eagles play. It's been at Citizens Bank Park. So it's at the Link. and we are broadcasting live from there. Mr. Cini is going to be interviewing people, and it's going to be so much fun. We get to run through the tunnel, we get to walk on the field, and when our team has raised $5,000, we get to go into the locker room and have our picture taken with the Super Bowl trophy. So that's all exciting, and I thank
That'll
you
be
for
fun.
being part of it.
Now, it's a great. I mean, there are an awful lot of charities out there that are worthy charities, and people should consider. I mean, there's so many things worth giving to, and I think I think that particular charity really, they use almost all the money, I think, in research. I kind of remember you telling me that money goes exactly to solve the problem.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. So there is a charity, I think it's called a charity meter, where they actually look at how many cents of every dollar goes to research. And I
Mhm.
don't know the exact number. It was 88.1 cents. I don't know. It's somewhere in the 80s now. So 80 plus cents of every dollar goes to research.
No, it's a great cause, and it's good to hear that they apply so much of what they collect and what they earn to that. It's terrific, and it'll be fun.
It's going to be fun. We have a clip, and I just want to announce that next week on our show, Take Steps and Kick IBD with Justin Rigliani, we have Dr. Neil Nandi joining us. He's a gastroenterologist from Penn, and he's a huge part of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. So let's take a look, and then we'll close out.
That'll be fun.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. So if anybody out there wants to join us, you can go to my Facebook page, which is Jacqueline Kerbeck, my personal page, and you'll find it on there. Or you can email me, Jacqueline@drjacqueline.com. All right, Al, I'm going to put up your banner again for anyone who cannot read the banner or is listening on the radio. What's the best way to get in touch with you, and who would you like to contact you?
Anybody who's planning any kind of a team building event might want to consider building the team around the purpose rather than around a place or an activity. We have an approach that takes your team, identifies a role target, aligns your people with that role target, and working with presence intelligence actually gets them started on the path to become the strongest member of the pack and make the strongest pack they can possibly make. And that really is the goal. And if we all team up and love what we do and build on that love, we become more effective as individuals, and our organizations become more effective. And if you want to know how to do this, it's a very accelerated, rapid process. Amazing. When you know how to do it, it moves very quickly. I can be reached at al.cini@getbcat.com, or we have a toll-free number, 855-999-BCAT. Thank you, Dr. Jacqueline.
Keep talking. I'm typing, please. BCAT. Okay, here we go. I tried adding it onto your banner, but there's no more room, so that's why it has to be separate.
Thank you.
We've got a couple of comments. Yes, it's Lisa. Lisa Manioki posted that beautiful tribute. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's
so nice.
Yeah, and presence intelligence. Look it up. I'm telling you, it's a life changer.
I'll put up her banner again. And Diane Floyd Bain, great show. I always learned so much from you too. Well, thank you, Diane. We learned so much from you as well.
Thank you, Diane. Absolutely.
Here is Lisa's contact information, presenceintelligence.com. Please do reach out to Lisa. And you can find Lisa on RVN television. Is it Wednesdays?
On Wednesdays at 10 o'clock, we and Mark Iorio, Lisa and I and Mark Iorio co-host a program called The Advocates, where we interview dent makers, people who make those dents in the universe, talk to people who are on a mission of some kind. It could be a personal mission to help individuals, or it could be a corporate mission, or it could be a political mission, and not political campaign. It's a difference. People who want to make the world a better place on any scale, large or small.
And by the way, for folks who've been with us since the beginning, Lisa Manioki was a co-host here on our dating show. Lisa, we want you back on another show. We're not doing dating anymore, but we'd love to have you come back. Al, what special event do you have going on? I think it's a webinar. Is it April the 12th?
We do. On April 12th, we're having our first ever the Advocates Exchange, which is a forum for meeting with the people that we interview on the program. They'll be presenting their advocacy, and we'll have people present to ask some questions about that, maybe offer advice on how they could do it more effectively. It's really it's as much a networking event as it's a learning opportunity. So it's a kind of we're talking to you on the advocates and interviewing you, but here's a chance for people to really get to meet you and know you and learn about what you do and maybe draw some inspiration from that. And you can sign up by going to getbcat.com, getbcat.com/exchange, all lowercase.
Al, thank you for that. And I went twice to sign up, and I thought I better ask you, is it cool if I sign up?
Absolutely. Love to have you there. Sure. Totally.
Very good.
Great.
Fantastic.
I mean, I don't know where you're going to find the time.
I already looked at my calendar. I have it open. So
You did? Good. Well, it'd be great to have you there, Doc. I'd love to have you.
fantastic. All right. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to wrap up because we've got 2 more shows coming up with Talking Heads, Jean Keegan-Daly and Mariska Dupree.
Well,
Al, any final words?
Just thank you very much. A great opportunity. And for anybody out there who might be watching, if you have the potential, I mean, if you got something of value that you think you have to offer, Talking Heads is a great platform for that. And it's a real gift to us. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Al. And see, people love you. So you've got to come back for the 24. Al. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you backstage just momentarily.
Thanks, Doc.
All right. Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. As you can see, Al brings so much great quality content that we can all learn from, and we do learn from. And our other talking heads are fantastic as well. If you'd like to join us, we have openings for 2 more talking heads. You can contact me directly. You must have 5 years experience in your field. You must be considered to be an expert. Obviously, you must be a fabulous presenter, and you need to be really passionate and have an open heart. That's what we're all about here, being heart-centric. So again, you can email me, Jacqueline@drjacqueline.com. And that's all I have for you for right now. I've got to talk to my business coach backstage about a few things. That'll be Mr. Cini. And then I'll be back at 4:30 Eastern time. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, everyone, for watching and engaging. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.